Hello, ex-Jehovah's Witnesses and Jehovah's Witnesses and people who are interested in my daft channel. Hope you're doing well. This video is entitled Frequently Asked Questions About Jehovah's Witnesses. The actual answers. I was on the jw.org website, still on it right now. I look so you don't have to. And I'm looking through their frequently asked questions section. So I'm going to ask you the questions that they feel are important, and then I'm going to tell you the actual truth. Why do some people speak against Jehovah's Witnesses? Like this people here. Many people are simply misinformed. Many people are very well informed, and that's why they do it. Others may not appreciate the witnesses' evangelizing work. Oh, well, I appreciate it very much because this is kind of what I do now. As I said to someone recently, I am just what they created. Someone who fervently believes in what he thinks is true and wants to tell everyone about it. The fact is, however, that the witnesses do their work out of love for neighbour, knowing that everyone who calls on the name of Jehovah will be saved. Well, most Jehovah's Witnesses do it because they're pressured mercilessly to go out on doors. If you didn't know, they all have to keep a tally of the hours they spend every single month. If they get below a certain tally, they can get marked in the congregation. If they get marked, they get shunned, which means friends and family no longer speak to them. If they keep it up, they can get pressured and eventually disfellowship, which means that their family and children, relatives, will stop speaking to them for the rest of their lives until they forget forgiveness. So, why do people speak out against Jehovah's Witnesses? Maybe it's because we know the shit we know. Are Jehovah's Witnesses Protestants, fundamentalists, or a sect? Now you'll notice they laid out a bit here, or a cult. Jehovah's Witnesses are Christians, but they are not Protestants for the same reason that they are not Catholics. They recognise certain teachings of those religions are unscriptural. For example, the Bible does not teach that God, the very personification of love, tortures people forever in a fiery hell. Nor does it teach that humans have an immortal soul or that Christians should meddle in politics. Well, that's a very interesting thing. This is the Jehovah's Witnesses little song and dance. We're not these other people. See, Jehovah's Witnesses, actually, back in my day, we didn't even really like to say we were Christians. I'll tell you for why. Because that gives you the unpleasant notion that other people might be Christians too. And they do it here too in a sly way because they say Jehovah's Witnesses are Christians. They are not Protestants for the same reason they're not Catholics. But you'll notice they just suggest that Protestants and Catholics are also not Christians. Sneaky that, isn't it? And basically they recognise certain things are unscriptural. Well, everybody recognises certain things are unscriptural about their various religions, okay? But what they don't point out, of course, is that there's vast amounts of things that Jehovah's Witnesses do that is unscriptural. How about the celebration of birthdays, which they refuse to take part in? That's unscriptural. Can't show that in the Bible. How about all the other festivals that they refuse to take part in? Completely unscriptural. The fact that they do celebrate anniversaries and wear wedding rings. See, still got mine. Even though that is actually something that, according to their own argument, would be unscriptural. They're nuts. But are Jehovah's Witnesses Protestants, fundamentalists, or a sect? No, they're none of those things. They're a cult. Jehovah's Witnesses were set up by a dodgy little man in America back in the 1800s who wanted a lot of attention for himself, and boy did he get it. Dreadful. Moving on. Should be slicker. What happens at Jehovah's Witness meetings? Oh, God. Their meetings, which are open to the public. Don't go. Don't go. I would sooner attend your prostate exam. I would sooner just watch endless loops of people's prostate exams. They are essentially Bible studies, often allowing for audience participation. One of their weekly meetings at the Theocratic Ministry School helps congregation members develop teaching, reading, and research skills. SEAL skills. Another is a 30-minute Bible discourse on a topic that may be of special interest to non-witnesses, or it may not. It is normally followed by study of the Bible by means of the Watchtower magazine. You'll notice that the Watchtower is very prominent that day. Meetings begin and end with song and prayer, and there is no solicitation of funds or passing of a collection plate. I used to hang my hat on that a lot. Oh, we are so good. We are so good because we don't take money off anybody, not like those wicked worldly people. Well, the bottom line, those wicked worldly people have far better buildings, so there is that. The other thing, of course, is that they push you incessantly. Have you seen the new video with the little child? Will I get an ice cream or will I give my money to Jehovah? Give it to Jehovah! He needs it all! You don't need ice cream, bitch! Now, their meetings, which are open to the public, are essentially Bible studies. Well, sort of. What they are is a cherry picking of various scriptures throughout the Bible to then say, this is the message that we want you to believe today. Lots of people do that. It's dishonest every time you do it. If you're going to read the Bible, you have to read it in context so you know what the fuck it's talking about. Sorry for swearing, but it's true. It's the Theocratic Ministry School. I've said this many, many times. This is not, as they say, it helps members develop teaching, reading, and research skills. That's almost suggesting that it's good for you. Maybe your kids will be good in school from it. They won't. It ain't going to help them. The only thing it's going to do is probably take away their fear of public speaking, because they have to do a lot of that. Essentially what it is an opportunity to tell people how to do sales. Okay, you learn how to sell the Watchtower and Wake magazines and the various literature. You learn the ABCs of selling, the always be closing, and you try to continually push on the next product. That's simply how it's done. How are Jehovah's Witnesses financed? Ooh, their work is financed by voluntary contributions. The witnesses do not charge for performing baptisms, weddings, funerals, or any other religious services, nor do they tithe. Anyone who wants to make a donation can do so by placing it in a discreetly located contribution box in the Kingdom Hall. Jehovah's Witnesses produce the Bible literature they use, which keeps costs down, and their modest Kingdom Halls and branch facilities are mostly constructed by volunteers. Well, I was one of those volunteers once upon a time, and I certainly did help construct it, and I know I did not get paid. I also didn't wear proper safety equipment, so that's probably worth considering. The witnesses do not charge for performing baptisms, weddings, funerals, or other religious services. But if you do want to do any of those, the elders will tell you, well, typically this is how much you would be charged if you were in a worldly church. You should probably donate that exact amount. Anyone who wants, they don't tithe apparently. That's very important, they don't tithe. Although they will take monthly contributions are based on a sort of amount of money that you maybe get out of your wages. So, but we don't tithe. Bullshit! They take money hand over fist. Do Jehovah's Witnesses accept medical treatment? Yes, in fact, they seek the best possible care for themselves and their loved ones. That's absolutely true. That is absolutely true. Moreover, many witnesses work in a medical field as nurses, paramedics, doctors, and surgeons. That's not true, okay? Unless you were to say many in the sense that, there's a few. But percentage-wise, Jehovah's Witnesses have a big downer on education, and they certainly would not be allowed to do any of those things if they said as a child, I can't wait to grow up and be a doctor. The answer would be, shut up, you're going to be a pioneer. Okay, witnesses, however, refuse blood transfusions. Abstain from blood, the Bible says. Interestingly, a growing number of physicians view non-blood medical care as the gold standard. Well, let's unpack that for a second. I hate that word, but let's do that, okay? Many doctors view non-blood medical care as the gold standard. Well, of course it's the gold standard. The gold standard is not to cut people open, because you don't want people bleeding. It's self-evident that that's the gold standard. Okay, for though it has many risks associated with the use of blood products, that way it is avoided. Okay, right. So they've said the same thing themselves. Of course, nobody wants a blood transfusion. Sometimes it's necessary. But Jehovah's Witnesses, they believe the Bible is important. They put it to a higher standard, and they say the Bible says abstain from blood. Well, okay, the Bible also said abstain from things sacrificed to idols, but that's okay now too. Apostle Paul, I think, said that was fine. But the point is, we can talk about the real truth here. The truth is that Jehovah's Witnesses had just spent decades in World War I and World War II doing their damnedest to get noticed, to stand out with their information march, to get their members beat up on the streets often, arrested for no reason. They did this so they could get free publicity. They were a tiny little cult, and it was the only way they could get noticed. Then when all this ended and there was no opportunity for this to happen, suddenly they discovered a new way to get noticed. And what was that? Kill your members! The Jehovah's Witnesses accept medical treatment. They do when it suits them. They don't when it's advantageous to their disgusting cult. Where tolerance prevails. Now they've got this little thing about the majority inhabitants in this town in southern Mexico are Jehovah's Witnesses. An environment of religious and governmental tolerance prevails. The inhabitants have traded drunken bouts and cigarettes for songs and Bible reading. They also respect the authorities. Despite the presence of different religions in the towns, religious conflicts or arguments have not arisen, states the report. It also says hostility has no place and religious diversity does not prevent neighbours from greeting one another. Each family freely professes its religion, and this does not prevent their integration as society. So what they're trying to say is Jehovah's Witnesses make awesome neighbours. We're just the best people to be around. What they don't say, of course, is that in Mexico, Jehovah's Witnesses are allowed to play bribes to pretend they're in the military, so they can say they've done their national service. Don't say that. Bribery's okay if you're a Jehovah's Witness in Mexico. Nowhere else, but in Mexico it's fine. This is nonsense. We could all share stories. We could swap. They have traded cigarettes and alcohol for songs and Bible reading. Well, we all here in the comment section could trade stories about cigarettes and drunken bouts in the Kingdom Hall. It's a lie. It's not true. Jehovah's Witnesses are every bit as bad. And all you need to do is go to Google, because you can actually check in Jehovah's Witness crimes and see the vile crimes that Jehovah's Witnesses worldwide have been charged with. If Jehovah's Witnesses made better neighbours or made better people, they wouldn't do those things. It's simple as that. If being a Jehovah's Witness made you a better person, you wouldn't commit these crimes, and yet they do. Guys, I hope you enjoyed these actual truthful answers about Jehovah's Witnesses. If you want to hear more, like and subscribe to my channel. And say hello to me. Take care. Bye.